Hello LFRA, I'm excited to be here today to start off our transition process to go to the new MSA G1 SCBA. Today I'm going to introduce to you our new vendors that are going to help us with this transition, as well as provide a very brief overview of the MSA G1. So today, the first person I'm going to introduce to you is Jim Gear with ROI Fire and Ballistics. And he is going to be the main one that's helping us purchase these SCBAs, and then they're going to help us with some of the training and the transition process as well. So, Jim?
Thank you. Hello, I'm Jim Gear with ROI Fire and Ballistics in Lakewood, Colorado. I'm the owner there. A lot of you probably recognize me. We've done business with this department for several years with Turnout Gear, but we're also the MSA fire equipment distributor for the state of Colorado that's going to be selling you your G1 air pack. So we want to thank you for putting your trust and faith in ROI and also in MSA. We know once we get this process done, you're going to be very happy with your decision. So I'll be overseeing the entire transition process from the initial purchase that we've done and all the evaluations you've done. We're now in the purchase process to get those packs ordered and in. And once that's done, we're going to get started with the training, although we'll be doing a lot of training prior to even receiving those packs. So my role is to make this transition as smooth as possible. We know this is a big step for you guys and a big jump, but we want, at the end of this, we want to make sure that you know that you've made the right decision, and we know you're going to be happy. We've been a fire equipment distributor now for about 10 years, so we have a lot of experience going through this process, and we know how this works and what needs to be done. We also are full line service distributor for MSA. We have a mobile service facility that will be coming on site to do your service when necessary. We also have a service facility in Lakewood at our store there. So, as I say, we want to make this transition as smooth as possible. We've got the right personnel in place, and we're going to have a lot of help from the MSA Corporation to get this done too. So, we're looking forward to it, and we want to get this done as quickly as possible and as smooth as possible. So, we're happy to be here, and we want to thank you for putting your trust in us.
Thank you, Jim. The next person that I want to introduce to you is our MSA rep, John Wickersheim. John has been instrumental in getting us a lot of the loaner packs that we use to test out the different SCBAs, and he's going to be helping us in this transition process as well. So, John?
Thank you, Brad. John Wickersheim with MSA, been with the company for over 26 years. Also part of Cold Creek Canyon Fire, volunteered to take care of their equipment. So got a good understanding of how the equipment works, how it's supposed to work. I've used it. I'm a trainer for 26 years, also in the fire service. And my role at MSA is I'm a regional manager for the Rocky Mountain region. I cover 6 states. And like Jim said, this is a total team effort. We realize this is a big step for you. You're used to something else, but I can assure you that this is going to be a simple process because of the work that Jim and ROI and MSA and myself are all going to do. So I guess the next step would be to get started a little bit.
All right, thank you, John. So now we're going to move into our brief overview of the MSA G1. Of course, you're going to get a lot more in depth throughout this process, but today we just wanted to give that brief overview so you know what you're going to be getting into here in the near future. So we're going to have John step back in and provide that overview. John?
Thank you, Brad. I just wanted to start, and Jim and myself, ROI, and other help from others, we're going to provide you with a PowerPoint to get a familiarization with the product, and from there there'll be a lot of hands-on. So let's get started. So we'll start today with the Facepiece. The Facepiece is just like any other Facepiece. Once you want to have a good seal, there's no difference there. Some unique features of this Facepiece: there is no batteries, no brackets, no weight, no switches on it. That's very unique. I'm going to say 3 or 4 things about it that are irrefutable because they're quantitatively measured from the NFPA, CBRN, or NIOSH. You have better vision on this Facepiece than any other Facepiece. You have a better fit, that's measured by NIOSH. You have the best speaking diaphragm that's out there, mechanical speaking diaphragm. A couple other features that are unique and should be important to you. We have a unique design. We have an inhalation check valve, so that when you exhale, everything is exhaled through a separate path. It does not get into, or your exhaled breath or moisture doesn't go into your second stage regulator. What does this mean to you? You do not get germs or moisture into that second stage, and you do not have to clean your second stage regulator. It's a simple process of cleaning this mask, which Jim and I will be going over in detail. But it's important that you keep that process and make it a daily part of your training. When you use this Facepiece, it's an easy action and a cleaner sanitizer, then a rinse, and that opens the exhalation valve, flushes it out, and then you just put the Facepiece up to dry. That's all it needs to be done. Nothing to take apart, nothing to disassemble. So that's huge. That safety feature has been more prevalent and more apparent during COVID, because there's no germs, again, or moisture that get into that second stage regulator, so there, again, no need to clean that. So that's pretty much everything with the Facepiece. It performs the same function as your current Facepiece. It ensures that the air from your tank gets here, and that's what all Facepieces do. The biggest difference, though, obviously, is there's no regulator in the lens, and that's be covered more in detail during our training. So now we'll move on to the SCBA. The SCBA has a lot of features. As Jim told you, it's called the MSA G1. G stands for global. This was a global project. I was on the design and implementation team, helped with great joy. I got to interview firefighters from all over my region, users of all brands, and said, what do you like, what don't you like? And the result was a G1. This is a worldwide pack, so we're in a number, well, every country almost across the world now. But what we did is we hoped we captured the best features of every pack out there. Certainly didn't compromise any safety at any point, and I'm going to make a broad statement. This pack has more safety features than any other SCBA in the world. And you can ask those questions to Jim and myself as we come around. But first, you have 2 handles here. These are 500-pound rated drag handles, so you can easily fit a gloved hand here and drag a person. This is a 1,000-pound anchor point. In my gear, I carry 10 foot of webbing with a large carabiner that can hook here. So if I have to assist moving a firefighter, I got a secure anchor point and can pull them out. So these are static loads, not shock loads. Just wanted you to be aware of that. This pack here is configured pretty much the same that of the SCBA that you're going to be getting. The specification is going to be a 5,500 PSI. In the MSA world, 5,500 is blue on the cylinders, so that's something that's unique. This is a 45-minute cylinder. One of the features on this is you're going to find that it lays a lot flatter than you're used to. You'll be in your maze or in a tight area, you'll be able to clear corners a lot better, because this sets probably approximately about 1.25 inches lower than what you're used to. And the way this is designed, it lays flatter. One of the other features, you'll have a quick connect cylinder release. Again, we'll be going in more detail, but that is a simple 1/8 of a turn and pull out. That's really nice, and to put it on, you just hit it like that. You should not have to adjust this because we're going to ensure that these are adjusted properly, but I want to show you the proper adjustment point. This is a spring-loaded catch. There's 2 buttons on the side, so when you squeeze that, that'll open pretty readily. The spring will let loose. The proper adjustment is about, as you're looking at this, a 2 o'clock position. Then if it needs to be adjusted to go to 1 hour, there's a depression, a lever here that you can push down in slots. So that'll slide in. It can go down to a 30-minute cylinder. But again, the proper adjustment is about 2 o'clock, so you would just get that right about, that's probably 1 too many. So this isn't something you'll have to do on a regular basis, only if you're changing size cylinders. So there's the proper adjustment. Snap it down. This goes in here, and another feature, there's a slotted tab on here, so when you change a cylinder, it goes all the way down. You can tighten it, and the cylinder's changed. It could be top or bottom loaded. We find it's easier to go from the bottom, drop it in. So again, this will be covered in training. Another unique feature, which we're confident you'll like a lot, is this SCBA has an adjustable and swiveling lumbar pad. It swivels, and behind here there's a paddle. You can easily move this SCBA up, or this lumbar pad up, by grabbing that paddle, and you can hear that secure lock-in. What you're used to is the middle setting. That's going to fit 95% of the profile. But if you have somebody that's a little taller, you can easily slide that down while it's in a seat. Or if you have somebody a little more vertically challenged, you can bring it up. That allows the SCBA to be positioned down a little further and avoid your helmet hitting the back of the cylinder. So it should always be left in the middle position for a couple reasons. One, that's where most people are going to be used to. And it also allows you to extract the battery. Big change. You have a single power source for this whole SCBA. This SCBA has a rechargeable battery. Each station will have at least 1 charger and several spare batteries, and how you get this battery or remove this battery requires no tools. There will be a battery removal tool that'll be right in here, and you'll just be able to get that and put it in the slot. That is the only thing on this SCBA that we don't have there, but the battery removal tool looks just like this. It will be mounted in your shoulder strap, and you'll be able to take that, slide it in like this, and pull it out, and here's your battery. It's a single rechargeable battery. So we put this in here. When you get a new charged battery, just put it in like that, and that's all you need to do. We'll talk about battery further here in a second, but anytime you put the battery in, it will start up the SCBA, and that's the tone you will hear. Your control module will light up. You'll get a check mark that'll tell you that it's done an internal check, and then you'll see your pressure, or if the cylinder's on, your pressure. It is red right now because I did not turn the cylinder on. So how to turn it off? You have, on this control module, you have 2 green buttons that do the exact same function. Any combination of 2 quick pushes will turn the electronics off and or if the SCBA is on, it will reset an alarm. So I'm going to turn it off for now, 1, 2, and there'll be a symbol on here, but you'll learn to listen for that tone. It's not something you have to watch. You probably will do it because of familiarity in the beginning, but then you'll just learn to listen for that tone, and you won't need to worry about that again. Another feature that you chose was to have the removable shoulder straps. This allows these straps and all the soft goods to be taken off with very little effort. There's 4 snaps on the inside. On the middle 2 are standard snaps. On the top and the bottom are military snaps. They're universal direction snaps. So when you undo these, you have to rock them, for lack of a better term, the correct manner. So we'll be covering that in detail in your training. But these straps can be taken off, and then taking off the back frame here, and then it can be thrown into the wash. This lumbar pad is also removable. That can be thrown into the wash. So again, we'll be covering this in detail. We just want to know that you have those features on this SCBA. The biggest changes, and ones I'm going to go through with you, is you have a voice amp, and that's located on your left shoulder. This is you saw the blue light, or if you didn't, I'll show you in a second. This blue light will light up. All that is, there's a button on the top, and all that button is for is to turn that voice amp on or off. You probably are never going to use that button, except maybe in hazmat or a very, if you need some quiet, I guess. But that is blue, and it's this voice amp is a Bluetooth voice amp. One of the features in the G1 SCBA is you have Bluetooth in this SCBA. We will be linking your radios to this SCBA through a tag. We will capture the frequency on each radio, and we will be linking that radio to this SCBA through a tagging process, which we'll cover. That tagging process all hinges upon you putting that tag right here. It's a simple process. I'll show it to you in a second. It takes just a couple seconds to do. In fact, I'll show it to you now. You can push and hold until you see the battery indicator. That's where you can see the battery. You push the red button, you see this screen, and you touch this tag to the side, and at that point you've tagged in. As soon as you see this turn to green. We'll go through that process in detail. It is not something that you will have to do except that shift change to link your radio to this SCBA. The only thing that happens after that is when you turn this SCBA on, your radio will give you a tone, and it will say it's looking to pair with this SCBA. One time, you have to acknowledge and say yes. Once that you say yes, you can have 3 or 4 calls, 5 calls, no calls. It automatically, every time you pressurize this SCBA, it tones onto your radio automatically and links. There's nothing else to do ever again. You also have 2 features here. You have the detachable second stage regulator right here, the quick disconnect that pushes in. That's very similar to what you use right now. So just locks in. You have the 2018 buddy breather. How you can designate this from all other surrounding agencies. Any 2018 buddy breather has to have UEBSS. It has to have this designation in this position. If that pouch has that, you're compatible with anyone else. So it's the same thing that you're used to, a female to a male, or a male to a female. That connection's the same. That connection will also work to your second stage regulator if needed. Will also connect to a RIT pack. And I want to be very clear that it will work with any 2018 approved SCBA. If this buddy breather did not have that writing on it, it's an older version and different fittings on Scott, MSA, and everybody else. So that's your buddy breathing. Again, more information on that. We're just giving you enough to ask some additional questions. So, the next thing that I'd like to cover is some of your SCBA will have, on this control module, will have a thermal imager. This is your thermal imager right out here. If you don't have an SCBA with a thermal imager, your control module will be approximately that size. But they do the same thing. A thermal imager adds about 1.25 inches here. It runs off the same power source as you're used to, so there's nothing else to do. So let's go over the operation of it a little bit. I'm approximately a medium, so that fits perfectly. We're going to ask you to put your SCBA on a little different because of the design. Command will tell you exactly, but you'll find your own way. Put it on. These SCBA will have a chest strap, and at some point do that chest strap, and I'll explain why in a second. Put the belt on, double pull forward, get that weight on your hip. And I'll tell you why in a second here. If you do this, this becomes balanced. All your weight is on your hips. By adjusting your shoulder straps now, you're adjusting that chest strap to the proper tension. It's not choking you, it's not tight or constricting across here. So you want to get that done first, because now you're encased in this SCBA harness, and if you ever have to effect rescue, you can grab those handles, you can grab that anchor point, and the firefighter is going to stay inside that SCBA and you can drag them. If you don't like the chest strap, let it go. It's not a requirement, but now if somebody grabs it, they're going to have to watch that the shoulder straps or the SCBA doesn't come off. So that's one of the reasons you might consider keeping that chest strap on. You saw that this hose is sticking out. The design of the G1 is designed so you can take this and swivel this around, and that lays that hose in here. That lays that hose in and less of a snag hazard. So now this is how this pack is properly adjusted, everything's positioned, and you're now ready to make the connection. And this is one of the key differences between what you have now and what you're moving to with the G1. So the Facepiece comes on just the way, and it adjusts just like you would normally do your Facepiece. You make sure it's secure, adjust from the bottom, adjust from the top. You have ordered a 4-point harness, so there is not an adjustment here. So there's a little pull tab here, so pull that head harness down, adjust from the bottom, adjust at the temple areas, and you're good. But here's where the big difference is. And if you get these next 1 or 2 little tips and get it, your transition will be a lot simpler. If this is positioned just like I have this here, you can grab this regulator by 2 buttons or with the palm of your hand and a middle finger, and you can that will release the regulator from your keeper, from your belt clip. So that's a secure fit. It stays in. It takes both buttons. I can't just push one button. I got to have both buttons. So now, here's the motion. You take it out and you do a circular or half circle. Come across your navel, come right up, and come in. And what that is that gets your regulator hose positioned. So I'm going to do this, comes across, and comes right in to this. If you do not do it that way, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit here and you're going to fight the hose. Why this happens, why we want you to do it this way, is you do not have to twist this regulator. You're docking procedure is straight in, just straight in like this, and when you detach, 2 buttons straight out. And then the same motion to dock your regulator. Come across your navel. If you get this motion down, your life is simpler. Right there, just right here, straight in. And if you miss, you'll hear it sit, and then you just push it. There is no need, no quarter turn. Both buttons have to be depressed to pull it straight out. A unique feature on that, as soon as you depress these 2 buttons and pull that regulator out, those 2 buttons turn off your air source, your air supply. So you will not have to hit an air saver switch or anything else to turn off your air. You have a bypass on the side, and we ask you to treat this bypass like a bottle of water. And you know, if you don't tighten the cap on a bottle of water, it'll leak. And that's what will happen here. So I want to show you how to not do it properly in a second, and then I want to show you how to do it properly. So I'm going to pressurize the pack. The cylinder's handle is right here. You do not have to push in and turn it. With MSA, it is a process of 3 full revolutions. The SCBA turns on, the control module, you'll see a check, and now you'll see the pressure because I did turn that SCBA on. It's a nice high resolution color screen. All your electronics are on. Your HUD shines right through here. Those are your HUD lights. They mate with your mask right here, and I'll show you that. You notice that they went off. Anytime you want to see those lights, those HUD lights again, you hit or depress one of these green buttons 1 time, and there's your HUD lights on again. So when I take that regulator and dock it inside here, those HUD lights are now displayed, turning it on right inside here. And I know that's difficult to see, but you'll see the mask when you have it in your possession. So now it's attached. The HUD lights time out after 20 seconds, and I'm going to state right here that anything electronic, we're going to be working with Brad, Lieutenant Bell, and your team, your SCBA transition team. They can be set to a department norm. If they can be on all the time, they can be adjusted to whatever you want as a department. So they're off here, and again, they can be turned on by pushing either green button real quick. They stay on for about 20 seconds. They will turn off. They will not come on again until you breathe down before one of the set points. And you saw there were 4 greens. So the set points are 4 greens, then 3 green, then 2 flashing yellow, then 1 flashing red. And those come on in increments. 4 greens means your air cylinder is between 3/4 and full. 3 greens means your air is between 1/2 and 3/4. 2 flashing yellow mean you're between your low air warning and 1/2, and flashing red means your reserve. 2 big changes for you. Your reserve air now goes from 25% of a cylinder level to 33%. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing too that's a little different for you is again the HUD lights that they go off, you'll have to refresh them. But your pass device, your motion sensor for your pass, is in this control module. So it's not down here like you're used to. I know the firefighters dance, you've got to wiggle. You still have to wiggle, but it's here. And I'm going to let this go into an alarm right now so you can see the action. As an instructor, I'll sit here and unconsciously move this back and forth. But I'm used to it, just like you're used to shaking the bottom of your torso. So here's this. Anytime I want to reset that, I just have to shrug my shoulders or move this because the motion sensor is right here. You see this light. This light can be on all the time or it can time out. But anytime you tilt this up, it will turn on. So depends how the department wants it set. So when you have this on, you dock your regulator. This is a first breath activation, like you're pretty normal. You suck in, turns it on, and that activates your first breath, turns on your voice amp. So I'm going to go through that whole process in a second, but I did want to point out the buddy lights. I don't know if you can see the green blinking here, the green blinking at the top here, and the green blinking on the side. Those buddy lights are for an orientation, and anybody that is looking at you or you're looking at your partners, green is good. Yellow, you're below half and just above your reserve air, and when you're at red, you're at reserve air. So here's this. I can go like this. So green, yellow, red. I want you to remember that, and we'll go through that again. So when I turn this air off, and I'm going to bleed this down, once you go below 3/4, the green lights come on. They stay about 20 seconds. When they go out again, I'll wait till it goes out. Always when you wait, it takes longer. There it is. When it goes below half, flashing yellow. Flashing yellow at the top, flashing yellow here, flashing yellow here. We know that I am below half, so it's caution. Be aware, might be time to get out. So again, that flashing yellow will not turn out. That's going to continue to flash up here, here, and here as a notice to your partners that you're below half. When you go to low air, and this is different from MSA than it is from your current brand, that'll be at 1/3 air now. We have a bell. That bell is located here. When that low air warning goes off, that bell is loud. That bell vibrates, so you'll be able to feel it, but you'll also go to red lights. You'll start to see red flashing here, 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 and here. So I'm going to get you into a low air. Now, red, 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 till you're out of air. Red. And one interesting feature is by the URC fitting, a light comes on right here, and it lights up your universal rescue connection in case you have to make a RIT connection to get more air to your firefighters. So that's something that we were able to put a light there, so we thought that was a good thing. Again, your motion sensor, just flick that. So now I'm going to pressure this up again, and I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to let you go into 3 stages of alarm, and I'll explain. The NFPA says that the low air warning alarm has to come on after 18 seconds. If it gives you a pre-warning. If you don't acknowledge that by moving your torso currently or shaking this, that alarm will get a second level. And then if you ignore that for 5 seconds more, there's a second tone, third tone. To that point, I can shake it and reset the alarm. So 18 seconds, you get your first pre-alarm. 5 seconds after, if you haven't moved, another tone, another sounding pre-alarm. 5 seconds after that, if you've still ignored that, another pre-alarm, different tone. Until that point, you can move and reset those alarms. After that point, now you're going to have to manually do it. If you ignore the extra 15 seconds, now you're going to have to push the green button, either green button, twice real quickly to reset that alarm. So I'm going to let it go into pre-alarm. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's full alarm. I can't turn this off unless I do 2 quick pushes. The symbol comes on, that resets the alarm. So I'm just letting you know that if you let it get to that point, 2 quick pushes on either green green button resets the alarm. This again is an emergency. You can set your pass off in emergency mode. You can depress that for 3 seconds. That's currently what same motion that you do with your current passes. One of the things I didn't show you, when you tilt this up, this comes on, but if you push either of these green buttons once, when you turn this up, there's a secondary screen. That secondary screen gives you temperature in increments of green, yellow, red. So green is safe, yellow is caution, red I'll talk about in a second. There is a couple other indicators on there which will go into greater detail, but the one key feature on the bottom here, you'll see 2 lines when you look at this. After you breathe, and let's just take a look, you have 4,300 psi right now, and that's different for all of us as we breathe. After you breathe for 1 minute, approximately, at least 1 minute, you hit this button and it takes that 4,300 psi and it converts it to minutes of air remaining until empty. So we all have a different work rate. We all breathe a little differently. This is a great training tool. It's also a great safety tool. Now, instead of answering how much air do I have 4,300 psi, I can tilt this up, hit a button, and say, I've got 14 minutes. Or, I haven't been doing too much work, I might have 2 hours. But as I start working, as I start catching up, this is recalculated every 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds, that second number is adjusted. So, a good training tip, as you tilt this up to look at pressure, you're pushing that button. You can look at your pneumatic gauge here, which is always, it's non-electronic. So if all your electronics failed, which we don't anticipate, but you still have a way to turn or check your pressure. But as you do this, I can read my gauge pressure and I can read how many minutes of air you have left. So that's a good point to bring up at this juncture. So I'm going to put this on and I'm going to breathe through it. And I'm going to tell you a couple things more. Each of these come with a voice amp, like I told you. We are going to set these so you will not hear your inhalation. So, but you will hear it the first 2 breaths. So I want you to pay attention, if you could. Put this on. Just from the bottom. Grab this circular over here. First breath. You can hear me breathe. Two breaths. Now you don't hear that inhalation. It turns the inhalation sound off. So, but now you have a voice amp that's coming out here that will be linked to your radio. One key point, you don't change your radio, the way you operate your radio at any point. what happens is that radio will be linked to the pack and there's just no wires. So here's your bypass. And now I want to show you how to tighten a water bottle properly. If you turn this bypass off and you get lazy, that's off, right? But if you move your head up and down, the tolerances can turn this bypass on. But if you snug it, right, that will never ever turn on or off. So I'm going to be bold here and tell you that if you're leaking, if this is turning on, it's a training issue. So snug it off. You don't have to crank it, just treat it like a bottle cap on a water bottle. Snug it tightly, you'll never turn on. Be lazy, and turn it on. So snug it. Now, when you take this and turn this off, air's off. Turn this down. Release the rest of the air. First, turn the cylinder off. Turn the cylinder off. As soon as it's done, turn the bypass, and you'll learn to listen for this tone. And that's pretty much it. Buddy breather will be on your left side, so it's got a snaps and a Velcro. Just like your current mask, if you loosen these two bottoms, take it off. We'll go again over cleaning procedures a lot, but it's an easy thing. There's nothing to disassemble. If you're taking things apart, you don't need to. We'll leave it at that. Did I miss anything?
I think you covered it.
Okay. That's it. We look forward to rolling this out throughout your organization. We're going to work hard, like Jim was saying, and everybody at ROI. Our commitment to you is to make this as seamless and as easy as possible. Bring your questions, practice, and be safe.
Thank you for demonstrating that, John. So steps moving forward that you can expect to see. We've got to get our shift SMEs trained, and they will be doing their online courses over the course of the next few weeks. And then we're going to move right into our training. So we'll have an initial training days where we have Jim and John and their team come out, and they will do the hands-on training. Accompanying that will be a Target Solutions training that has PowerPoints from the vendors and PowerPoints from LFRA, covering everything that we want you to take away from that first initial training days. From there, we're going to move into company training. We're going to take all of those SCBAs that you used at the initial training days, we're going to put those out in the stations. Hopefully for about 6 to 8 weeks, everybody will have the opportunity to do a different training every single week, touching a different priority that we want you to look at, and you can get hands-on with each training. Also accompanying these hands-on trainings will be the Target Solutions that lay out everything that we want you to prioritize for that particular training. From there, we're going to have everybody do a JPR style checkoff. We're going to have the officers go ahead and proctor that for their individual crews. Any questions that arise or any issues that you find throughout any of this process, you can just contact myself or Lieutenant Bell. And then we can come up with a new training plan if we need to touch something a little bit more in detail, or if we need to make an adjustment to the spec of the air pack, or a component that we need to adjust the lights. If we don't want them to go off after 15 seconds, we want them on all the time. Those are things that your feedback that you provide us, we can adjust from there. And then lastly, we'll have a final training days where each shift will have a couple of different days to go down and do kind of that in-service style training that we're used to, and get really in-depth and really hands-on again before we ultimately go live. After we go live, then it's kind of up to each of us individually to dive into our air packs even deeper, like we hopefully already do, and then we'll push out some Target Solutions training either monthly or quarterly, but definitely yearly, where we refresh on some of the skills that we learned. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself or Lieutenant Bell or anybody in the SCBA cadre, and we will work on finding an answer or a solution to anything that you come up with. So thank you for your time today, and there's more to come.